welcome to Texas Platinum, the last of the real water cooler talk shows on YouTube. I am Trevor, joined by both Matt Myers and Matt Madrid tonight. And guys, we are feeling good. We're feeling good. Texas is in the SEC championship game, dethroned A&M and any dignity that program had. I guess they still have a little bit of dignity, but they ain't feeling great this week, and we certainly are. Big win in College Station. We're going to go over that. And then, of course, Texas takes on Georgia again. So we're definitely going to cover that as well later on in the show. So before we get into it, though, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, all the usual. Thank you for doing so. It means a lot to us. And let's get into the A&M game. Madrid, you weren't able to make the last show, unfortunately, but you're here tonight. Kind of walk us through what that experience was for you watching Texas beat down on the Aggies.
I was talking to my dad right before the game, and I always have the same feelings before any big Texas game, whether that be Red River or one of our out of conference games that we play. But I was telling my dad it feels different because the last time I watched this game, I was I was like, how old was I? I was like 12. And I remember it being like the first time I was actually paying attention to football. It was like the day after Thanksgiving and whatnot. And it was the Justin Tucker game. I remember being so mesmerized by that, but then immediately being heartbroken, finding out that that was the last time that they were gonna play, at least for the foreseeable future. So like as soon as I fell in love with it, it was taken away from me. So I don't know. Before the game, I was extra giddy, or not even giddy, more nervous because I didn't know what was simmering in College Station, whether or not they had it in them to play spoiler. Um, but I will say, we look good on our road games, and I think that's something that's been a consistent theme with this regime, which is kind of incredible to say. A lot of teams crumble in environments like, as much as I don't like College Station, they got a great environment there in Kyle Field. Even on TV, when you see that triple decker of seats on that one side, that looks insane. That looks terrifying if I was, playing on that field. But a lot of these players, they've been to the big house. They've played in multiple big games, and they know what it's like to go into hostile environments. But I'm just more overall just overjoyed at the idea that I when it comes to environments and in big games, this team can. That's never gonna. There's never gonna be a wall. It's whether or not we're gonna play well. We'll never have to like worry about getting over nerves or anything. I mean, it starts with the quarterback, Quinn. Outside a few hiccups, was pretty much nails the whole time. I know we like to be critical of him, but I think we do so because he's a third year starter, and I don't know what else to expect from him but perfection. But overall, I think he led the team like he always does in road games, and he got it done. The score is, if you didn't watch the game, it's closer than it felt. We had our moments where we felt like we were going to give it away. That game, the only way we were going to lose is if we continued to play sloppy and give it away. But at the end of the day, we have developed an offense that can run it on the ground when we need to, and that trend started against Bama, and it's continued ever since. So if we still have that, and on top of, I'm just gonna say, I think that's the best defense in college football.
Yeah.
We don't need to play our best on offense really to win a lot of these next big games. All the big games. I mean, the next games are all big games regardless, but we don't need to be outscoring anyone. That defense is built, and it feels like every time we have a game or a big game, someone someone different is stepping up on defense. This game it was Vernon Broughton. talk about a guy whose whole career has has seen it all. There was a time before Sark came, or right before Sark came, where there was rumors that this kid didn't even like football anymore, and that sounds funny to even think about now because that guy's playing so well. On top of all the other players that'll flash. Um, it's just good to see that there's quality depth everywhere on the defense and on both sides of the ball. So overall, I'm pleased. I know we like to be critical in the moment and maybe overreact sometimes, but looking back on hindsight, we played a really good game in a very hostile environment with high emotions, and we controlled every segment of it. So I'll let you guys get into the details, but that was like how I felt immediately or overall during the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a, I was very calm before this game. I had a lot of confidence in this team, and typically playing A&M or OU in years past, there's big games, and I'd be nervous, of course, but now Sark has just built such a great program where you like trust this team, you trust the defense, you trust our track record on the road. We haven't lost a road game since like early October 2022. We play better on the road. I think that's safe to say. And that's a great quality to have being in the SEC, and a lot of that comes from Quinn Ewers. He's a road warrior. I've been a Quinn hater a lot of this year, but he's still a high floor quarterback and he plays his best on the road in tough environments. And he played great for the most part with that bum ankle. So overall, it was awesome to see us just out physical them. It was night and day. Like even A&M fans, just there's no way to spin that. They were calling for penalties here and there, but like even if you give them those penalties that they're crying for, like it was still just domination. They're lucky that we gave them some points. Although it could have easily been 34-0. It should have been 34-0 at least. And but overall, man, the offense I thought played as good as you can ask for besides those turnovers. They moved the ball consistently, over 400 yards of offense, ran the ball at will. Shout out Trey Wisner, man. That guy, Trevor, you've been hating on Trey Wisner a lot. Not hating, but you've
Yeah,
been asking more
I was
out of
gonna.
him, and he put on for the city or the whole state
Yeah,
Saturday. So,
yeah.
but the usual suspects came around. Michael Taft, Broughton, a lot of the old guys. Makuba played well. Actually, Ant Hill and Jade had somewhat quiet games, kind of our superstars on defense. But what I really liked, and I'll pass it to you after this, Trevor, is a lot of the young guys stepped up in this game. Trevor Gooseby comes in for Kelvin Banks. This guy's a redshirt freshman, hasn't played at all, and he stepped up and dominated Nick Scorton, who's a projected first rounder on the edge. And he helped generate a lot of those run lanes for Wisner and give Quinn some time. Leon Golafau was our highest graded defender, Pro Football Focus, and that guy's a redshirt freshman too. He played phenomenal, and that's a guy that I was kind of doubtful about him playing over David Benda, but he's really coming on, and I like the progression we're seeing out of him. Ryan Wingo made some big catches. Shoot, I mean, there were other ones too, but I'm blanking on them. But there were a lot of young guys that stepped up, and it's just so encouraging for the future of the program. Arch Manning comes in, young guy, scores a touchdown. I like that wrinkle. I hope we do more of that down the stretch because that can put a defense in a bind, and it's going to be absolute cinema when he's running the wildcat and then pulls it and throws it for a 50-yard bomb because that's coming too. So um, overall, I thought Sark called a great game. He broke tendencies, and I'll elaborate on that in a little bit, but I'll pass it to Trevor. But overall, man, what a freaking game. It was never in doubt. It was obvious who the better team was and who Daddy was all along. Just like old times. Texas is back, Daddy's back.
I'll start. Or start. I will start with Trey Wisner. Because I owe you an apology, Quintravion. I'm sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry for thinking you were a backup at best. I never thought you were a bad player, but I never quite saw you as a starter. But after this game, uh, you've earned that right, and I apologize. The way that he ran was so crafty, and just his vision was the best that I've seen out of a running back since I know it was only like a year ago, but he runs with the same vision that Brooks did. Um, but he's a lot more like, I don't know, he just finds a way to get yards. I was watching with my family, and my parents said that he looked like Emmett Smith, and that was a little bit before our time, so I can't really compare. But I've seen highlights of Emmitt Smith, and I can see the similarities. Just the way that he kind of, not a big guy and kind of hides behind our big offensive line and is able to get yards without drawing a ton of contact. I mean, he was getting some big pops, but he wasn't like bulldozing people either. So. I don't know. I mean, shout out to him, shout out to our offensive line. That was equally as important, I think, in the running game. They were just moving bodies. It was the best that I've seen our offensive line look since Michigan. Just totally dominant, and super buttoned up. That's the other thing is like only one penalty, I think, on the entire unit. And that was on Gooseby for a false start. But like Cam Williams, like golf clap, Cam Williams, no false starts, no penalties, at least that I remember. That's a big step for him. Just how buttoned up everyone was on the offensive line was something that was really, really impressive, especially at Kyle Field, at night in one of the tougher environments in college football. Um, Quinn played an exceptionally good game up until the second half where he was turning the ball over. Those turnovers, I kind of joked later on, like during the game, I was really pissed when Quinn was like turning the ball over, like in the red zone. But kind of after the game, I kind of found it hilarious because it's like, it was like the perfect like big brother, little brother, or like little kid and daddy analogy of like, you're playing one-on-one hoops with your dad and he's like competitive and he's like kicking your
You get
ass a
one
little
over on
bit.
him.
And then he's like, you know what? I need to let my little son score on me a few times. So that little pick six, that was a little gift. It's kind of like, oh, make him feel good for a minute. Oh, let me fumble the ball right before scoring a touchdown. Like, oh, make him feel like there's some hope. There's a little bit of hope. The block punt.
I like
Oh,
that.
they got a chance. Oh, they can do something here. But then as soon as they get to the goal line, boom, stopped, stuffed, you know, right before they score a touchdown. So that was the way of me coping with the fact that we didn't just totally blow them out. But nonetheless, it was clearly a dominant game. I think Mike Elko even said like they what physically demolished us or something like that. Like he spoke in very, very big words for Elko. But yeah, just uh Quinn was doing well before that all came, and I wish he could have continued that, but you know what? That was a big step in the right direction. Looked the best that he's done since Michigan too. Just really sharp, really confident. Um, it's so weird that he's not that way at home, but he does not look that way at home. He just at home he's like way too lackadaisical and slow and everything. On the road, he's a lot more decisive and he steps up in the pocket. It's just like he's a totally different player, but uh good. Be big on the road. That's the hardest thing to do, so we'll take that. And going forward, we're not at home. Uh I guess unless if we lost to Georgia and maybe hosted a home playoff game, but going forward, we'll be on the road. So I think that'll be in favor of this team because like you guys said, this is such a good road team that um, you know, it makes you think that hey, come like playoff time where home environments aren't necessarily a thing, that will be to our team's advantage, I think. So yeah, and then defense just absolutely fantastic. I There really wasn't a bad component to our defense that I saw. Nothing really to complain about. Um, I guess I wish we got a little bit more sacks, but I don't think we really needed to. We were playing in a particular way where the goal was just don't let them get a first down, and we were stopping drives pretty handily. Um, Last thing is just special teams. I really hope that that's not the downfall of this team because that'll be so frustrating if it's something as stupid as like our punter or our kicker. No offense, which I it's kind of hard to not have offense to what I just said, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like I think that's more on coaching and Sark for not addressing those needs in the offseason than the players themselves. The players are the players, but we gotta make that a bigger priority, especially this offseason. Like let's get a good punter. Let's get, at least a backup kicker in case something like this happens. I know that Bert Auburn is just going through a bad year because previous year he was great. I think he made like 20 or 19 in a row last season. Like he was nails. So to see him kind of fall into a slump is kind of saddening, but Hunter, like, yeah, like that's a very important position that you don't want to just have some guy, kicking punts. And then of course blocked punt, missed field goal. Those are points off the board that in a bigger game you really need those points, and you can't afford a turnover like that. Like that just flips the field. Um, so yeah, I think our defense is going to be the unit that, it's not foreign at this point, but they'll be the unit that keeps us in these games going forward into the playoffs. And yeah, overall, final thoughts is just that felt so good to watch. I had not felt that good watching a playoff game, or not playoff game, but a football game since like we beat OU 48 nothing a couple seasons back. Like this was on that level of just like second we won it, it was just elation. Just because I don't know, I was amazed how much hate came out of my heart for the Aggies. Like I said in a previous show, like I wasn't knowing what to expect. I didn't know what to expect, but as soon as we got going against A&M, it was just like something came out of me. It's just primal, you know? It was like, oh yeah, we hate each other and I want to kill them. Well, not kill them literally, but you know. Um, so yeah.
I'm glad you brought up the punter. I think that's a bigger problem than Burt at this point. The punting was like the whole reason we were in a hole with Georgia.
Yeah.
If I'm not even asking for like a booming kick from 20 to 20. I'm asking if you're at the 25, if we're at like the 25, 20, to hit it to the opposite, to kick it to the opposite 40 at least, just put them in the negative
Right.
territory. It's just like some of these punts were barely getting to the 50, and I was like, this means everything. I mean, that was like I could see it in my head, the permutations of the game. Like, oh, this is one of the reasons we're gonna lose is because they're gonna get us in this field position hole and they're gonna field goal us to death or something like that. But I hope it doesn't come down to that, and I hope it doesn't come down to a 40+ yard field goal because I have no confidence in Bird. If it's not dead on from 30 yards, good luck, dude. Like,
Yeah.
good luck. Um, Makes me I miss Dicker so much. That guy was automatic, and we had him for so long. Um, uh, so I that's hopefully something that doesn't come down to bite us and at the end. Um, just a quick. I think I've said this like on multiple episodes, but just the way Sark manages like touches with like star players combined with new faces and freshmen is just something just to really like tip your cap to. You got all these freshmen making impact plays with the limited touches that they have in big games. That just adds to the culture and the longevity of it. Like these young guys are going to care. I mean, not they wouldn't, but just even more so now about these type of games, and they're going to want to play in games like this, and that's just going to keep that cycle going. So I just really want the staff at whole. I mean, think about it. We asked Colin Simmons to read the whole game. Like we put that responsibility on him. That's a big deal. It could have very well been like one of the older guys. Could have been Benda or even Jade or anyone. You know what I mean? I think I just we're giving these young guys a lot of responsibility, and not only is it working, they're getting better at the same time. So I'm really excited uh, on how that unfolds in the future as well. And then, that's just something, the rivals are going to have to deal with for many, for not, well, hopefully many, but at least for the foreseeable future. So I think that's a really good plus right there.
Yeah, no, I think Sark probably coached his best game of the year. He was coaching the circles around Elko and Colin Klein specifically, the offensive coordinator for A&M. They were panicking. They had no answer for just the physicality and just that Texas presents. But one thing I liked about this game a lot, and it's actually huge for us, is I think we really have found our identity, like against A&M and M and Kentucky, even Arkansas down the stretch a little bit. I think we know we have a national championship level defense, and we're trying to lean into that now with establishing the run game, running downhill with Trey Wisner and whoever else, Jaden Blue. We went way less horizontal. Like we tried it in the opening script. There were some of the those little quick screens, but as the game wore on and Sark was calling on the fly, he abandoned that and just went straight downhill. And then once that was just like we were throwing body blows at him, 6, 10 yards at a pop, then he slips in the screen and they went for huge gains, one to Wisner and one to Wingo. So I think abandoning the side to side and going more downhill, it helps us put drives together, which helps take some stress off of our kicker or punter because we're not backed up on these quick drives anymore. We're getting long drives, and we just it's way more conducive to complementary football and highlighting the strength of our team, which is our O line and our defense. So I love that, and then it allows Quinn to run those RPOs and play actions way more. They're way more open. The run is set up first, so then everything else opens up over top. And we saw that there were people running wide open. Quinn actually, there was some passes that he kind of not missed, but there was I think a one to Gunnar Helm was wide open. It got tipped at the line. That would have went for 30 plus. So there's just a lot of meat left on the bone with that, and obviously stalling in the red zone twice with those turnovers. So I love the trend of our defensive course, but I think our offense is turning a corner at the right time too, and hopefully we continue it with Georgia. I kind of wonder about Kelvin Banks. Honestly, I would just rest him, and even honestly Isaiah Bond, I would think about resting too because you can tell he's still hobbled, and him at full strength a game changer, and I'd rather have him at full strength in the playoff if we can get that done. So just some thoughts. I think also I mentioned this earlier. The arch wrinkle is huge. It puts more on film for the defenses to prep for, and it just adds a new dynamic. In short yardage situations with our depleted depth at running back. Arch can run it, and he can get tough yards as well. So I love that we're phasing him into the game plan down the stretch.
Yeah. I guess kind of last point for me, one thing that kind of stood out in this game, and we've seen it in big games where Texas has played, like against Michigan, against Alabama last year, is come the fourth quarter if we have the lead, kind of regardless of the amount that we're leading by, especially this season. It's very much kind of a like just play keep away. And it's very I find it pretty unique because not a lot of teams in college football can truly do that, where it's just like I mean we were only up 10 points, in the fourth quarter. And honestly I really don't think that we were trying to score. I mean, obviously we weren't not trying to score, if that makes sense, but um I mean, we were texting and it was just like, just run out clock. Like our defense isn't like, we have such trust in our defense at this point that, as long as we're leading by, 7, 10 points, it's just kind of like, all right, we got this. Just run out clock. You don't even really need to pass the ball. Just run the ball, you know, countless times until you can't no more and then punt it. Um, so I think it's a fortunate and a very unique and a big hats off to our offensive line and to our running backs for allowing us to be in that position, and then of course our defense for being that level of good to where, that's a thing that we can afford to do. So, um, anything else in regards to the A&M game?
Um, I don't think so. Shout out Trey Moore, Baron
Shout out
Sorrell,
Trey Moore.
Yeah, Trey Moore, big play at the
Jermaine
end.
Rollet, Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, the whole D line, Ethan Burke, Colin
Michael
Simmons, they
Taff.
all brought it. Yeah, Michael Taff as well. Everyone brought it.
Yeah.
Mike Elko got a little Mike McCarthy in him, bro. Just watch him on the sideline. They just have that face where it's like not okay, hold on, not even the eyes. It's more like a they'll pan to him and just like they're processing what's happening. I
Yeah.
was like, I've seen that before. I've seen that before. And I was like, who have I seen that before? Oh, it's Mike McCarthy. Where they just things are happening to their team and they're just actively trying to like understand what they're seeing. So I don't know. They're funny coaches. Also, I don't know. It just both of them just seem like, those coaches where it's just like they clearly have a ceiling. They clearly have like a good enough ceiling where it's like, damn, we were good this year, but just good. like is they just leave you wanting more. And I don't know. We'll see. I mean, 8-4. It's a great year for the Aggies, man. Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their
Right on schedule.
typical, right?
Right on
Their
schedule,
standard
man.
year.
It's a
Oh, we'll get
standard
them. We'll
year,
get them
man.
next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
or they
man.
play the what if game. It's like, oh well, if we still had Moss, we'd be 10-2.
Yeah, I'm
If
sure,
we still
man.
had Moss, we
So
would have won
sure.
that game. The what if game. The
I know.
funniest the
I know.
funniest part about Elko is I was waiting for a Charlie Strong moment. You know how Charlie Strong got flagged by the ref that one time for like getting into it? Because Elko was really pissed. Like he was pushing his luck on that
No, I
one
love when
targeting
Elko gets
call.
mad.
And I was like, oh, where's the flag? Flag's coming, flag's coming. Never came.
I think he buys a lot of goodwill every time he gets mad. Like even with like the Notre Dame game where he was like, run the ball at the end. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Just to get out of there. I don't know. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's my guy. He wants us to lose with dignity.
That's right.
All right. Let's transition over into playoff time. Myers, I know that you wanted to touch on the playoff system before we get into the actual game at hand ahead. Um, let's touch on that. What are your thoughts of the bracket and how it's currently set up, and how does this play into the game coming up, Texas versus Georgia?
Yeah, I have major issues with the current format of the CFP. I think I'm probably one of a billion people in the world that feel the same way. It's so poorly designed, like the auto bids and stuff. I mean, the way it stands right now, we're better off losing to Georgia on Saturday in terms of seeding, because then you get the 5 seed, and then you get like a home game against Arizona State, and then if you win that, you get Boise in the second round. Whereas if we beat Georgia, we're projected to get the bye, but then we play Georgia again, probably.
Yeah.
Like you have to beat Georgia twice in a row just to get to the semifinal. To beat them twice in a row just to get the semifinals. Whereas Boise State, this Mountain West two-star team, is going to get a bye, and they're going to get the winner of Arizona State, Penn State, as it currently stands. Whereas Texas is a 2 seed, and Oregon's the number 1 seed. They're undefeated. If they win the Big Ten, then they're going to get the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Like, why are Oregon, Texas getting these draws where SMU, Boise State are getting easier draws than us? It's nonsense. It's insanity. They're going to change it. They're going to have to change it. But this year's going to suck. And I hope the CFP has some sense and tries to at least like play with the matchups where it somewhat benefits the top seeds for having the top seeds, because it's just a joke the way it currently is designed. And it's so dumb, because like winning an SEC championship shouldn't punish you. That should, like, you should benefit from that in the long term. And It's frustrating.
Yeah, it should just be like top 12 teams, I
Just rank the
think.
teams.
Yeah.
Just rank the teams.
I even heard an
Yes.
argument to rank week by week. Like after the first set of games is played, it's like
Yeah.
reseeding every
Like
time.
the NFL. Yeah, it should be like that. And they should work to that because football is a unique sport where like 1 through 12, it's a complete range. Like 12 is way too many teams, and that's a whole different tangent. But like Arizona State versus playing Georgia for the third time, that's a whole different world. Like, and that's or Boise State. So yeah, changes are needed.
All right, now we're going to shift our focus over to the big Texas versus Georgia championship game for the SEC title. Myers, how about you lead us off? Kind of give Texas fans an idea as to the team that we're going to be facing once again and how their season has evolved over the past few games since mid-October.
Yeah, it's a familiar face. I mean, last time we saw them, that was not our best day. The one team that got to us this year pretty bad was Georgia. And I mean, for good reason. Kirby Smart's got a great program there, and they have as much talent, if not more talent than us. That's like the only team you can say that really about in the country right now. So they're scary. They're scary, but they've been very inconsistent all year. You know, Carson Beck's been up and down, although I will give him credit. Ever since Tate Ratledge or whatever his name is, their center came back into the lineup, he's played a lot better. He's had more time, less pressure on him. He's not doing the crazy turnovers anymore, but he's still not a world beater quarterback, I would say. But he's good enough to win with for sure. That's why they've won a lot of games with him. But their defense is kind of the calling card of that team. At least I don't know. Honestly, they've looked suspect the last couple of weeks against UMass and Georgia Tech. We all saw that 8 overtime shootout they got in with Haynes King. But I expect to see a way better version of Georgia than that when we play them on Saturday. It's going to be in their backyard in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So you know they're familiar with that playing there with their fans behind them. So probably a good thing for Quinn. Hopefully they have somewhat of a home crowd advantage. I don't know. We'll travel pretty well to that, I would imagine. But they're last time we played them, our biggest issue was our offense gaining yardage on them in any capacity. I think we had like a 40% negative play rate. Like so 40% of the time we were not generating a positive play. It was like a negative or a zero some play on offense. And Quinn, of course, had the 4 turnovers. We were backed up. Our punter was terrible that game. Georgia scored like four of the 5 drives. I want to say Georgia got the ball within like their own 30 or Texas's own 30-yard line. So that's like obviously a nightmare scenario that we can't have happen again. But I'm curious how Sark's going to attack this one now because the last time we played Georgia, it seemed as if we were going way too horizontal. Like we were kind of scared to go at him downhill. And I think, like I was saying, our identity's kind of changed in recent weeks where we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball at you and then go over the top with play action and then rely on our defense and sustain drives and little less side to side, more downhill. So I think this is a huge test for us because we had no ability to go downhill on them at all in Austin a couple months ago. And I think this is one that I hope the team is taking personally to get some revenge on them. But my early thoughts are just like I can see this game going so many different ways, and I really don't know how to feel about this. Texas is favored by 2.5, but I'll pass it to Madrid. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I wouldn't pay too much to that favorite 2.5. That feels like they just had to pick someone. Yeah, this could go multiple ways. I look at that Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech just wasn't afraid. They went at him. Haynes King ran for 20, well, had like 20 plus carries, like something crazy like that. He was putting his body on the line. We have at least have a running back that can do that. But I think the recipe for success here is just not trying to get too cute with this defense at all. I think the more simple you make it and the more routine you make the offense against Georgia, the better success you'll have, if that makes sense. The more you try to get cute with the double reverses and stuff, the more they have time to recover. I mean, they're the closest defense to our defense. They're super talented. I there's a reason why when people play us, they're not pulling, they're not doing too much trickery. We stay home, we know our assignments, and we do our job. And I think that's the type of offense, excuse me, the type of defense they have as well. Um, Carson Beck confuses me. He has played better as of late, but I don't know, something about him makes me feel like he's vulnerable for I don't know, a two interception game. And I think thinking about our last matchup, um, the game that Quinn had very easily could have been the game that Carson had. That's how I view these quarterbacks a little bit. They can they're really momentum based quarterbacks. But overall, I do think this will be, as long as we don't play that field position game again. I think this will be a very close game. It's kind of hard to say which way it's going to go, just because of where both teams are at. Although I do think we have more of the momentum right now. It's a very puzzling game, and in a game that I feel like I don't think many of us were expecting to have a rematch at the beginning of the year. I think we knew Georgia was going to be there, but I don't think we knew it was going to be like this. So I don't know. It's a very confusing game in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's You could expect a lot of different games out of this matchup. Because Georgia has shown that they're actually able to put together a high scoring game. Um, they haven't done it a lot this season, but they've done it a few times where they can get clicking and move. Um, but really, I we haven't seen that against our defense. In fact, I think the highest scoring game against our defense all season was Georgia, and they put up 30. And like y'all said, a lot of that was just them having very favorable field position. They only really had one drive where they went, a full 80 yards or whatever that was, to score a touchdown there and kind of put the game on ice. But yeah, and Texas really, I feel like early in the season, showed the ability against lesser opponents to be able to score a lot, but they haven't done it recently. So I think it'd be a very safe bet to say that this is a game settled in the 20s, maybe high 20s, maybe 30s, but uh, probably not, honestly. And a close one. I think you analyzed it pretty perfectly, Madrid, in terms of how to attack Georgia. I think it's just a matter of playing very sound football. Um, last matchup, Texas just was incredibly sloppy, on all fronts. Uh, and it was very weird, you know. It was weird to see our offensive line get just totally beaten, by a defensive line, and to see them look as sloppy as they did, to see both quarterbacks, look sloppy, and like everyone looked sloppy. Like it was just a bad offensive game all around. Defense, put up their best fight, but it just wasn't an effective offense whatsoever. And credit Georgia for doing that, but I think a lot of that was pretty self-inflicted as well. In Georgia, I'm sure it's saying the same thing. I mean, Carson Beck played equally as horrible of a game as Quinn Ewers did. He just didn't have quite as many turnovers, and um, or maybe they did have the same number of turnovers, but really what it came down to is them being able to score and us not, um, given the field position and everything. So I really don't expect, that was a very kind of unusual game, and I think it's safe to not assume that something like that would happen again, where Georgia's going to be, on their side of the field all the time or on Texas's side of the field for scoring drives and everything. But um, So yeah, I feel like it's pretty evenly matched teams that are very similar with how they're built, and I would say that I'd probably give the edge to Texas just because it's hard to beat a good team twice. I know that's kind of a old football statement that everyone always says, but I think there's a lot of water to it. Last time that Texas played a team twice in a season, I think, was when we played Oklahoma two times, once regular season, once for the Big 12 championship. And it's kind of funny because when we played for the Red River game, that was 2019. It's kind of like, ooh, well, we're probably going to face them again, and ooh, that means we're gonna have to beat them twice. And we couldn't accomplish that. And I don't think many teams would be able to accomplish beating a good team twice like that. And honestly, there's a good chance now that we'd have to beat them three times or meet them three times, with how this playoff bracket's looking, as Meyer said earlier. So, um, I don't know. That's a lot of talking in circles, but yeah, it's a tough game to call. But I feel like Texas probably has the edge in this game, just given that, on that mentality of loan of, we played a poor game. We both kind of know each other's tendencies at this point, and I think if Texas just shows up and plays the game that they're capable of playing in a big environment, I think that they could probably out edge Georgia. Really, what it comes down to is can we put up points, and it's as simple as that at this point. With how good our defense is playing, is defense is going to keep whatever team, at bay and not scoring at large. So if we can just move the ball and score, I think we got it.
Yeah, I remember when we joined the SEC, maybe like last year when we got good. I would jokingly say Texas and Georgia can become the new premier rivalry in the SEC, the modern day rivalry, because we're going to always be competing for the SEC championship. And this is starting to look like it's forming into that trajectory of our program and then Georgia. And honestly, though, I think they're the one team I don't want to see in the playoffs. They're the one team that I hope Oregon gets matched up with on their side of the bracket somehow. It's not looking likely, but let them deal with each other because really I feel confident about even Oregon, Ohio State,
Yeah.
Tennessee, Notre Dame. Like I feel like we're going to handle those teams if we play them down the stretch. Georgia's the one. And this is another thought. There's a chance that Georgia might just be boogeyman for Sark. He struggled against DeBoer at Washington twice. And Kirby Smart, I know it was their Super Bowl. He was basically crying after they won that game. Nobody believed. We didn't take pictures. Like it was week 6. But anyways, there's a world where Georgia just is a bad matchup for Sark. They have really athletic linebackers, which really just like neutralizes everything we like to do with Sark. They're fast. They're one of the teams that has speed like us, if not more speed defensively. And we saw that when we played them with all those stunts and their lateral speed was insane, and their ability to blitz. So I don't know, man. I definitely respect Georgia, and like you said, Trevor, it's hard to beat a good team twice. So I'm hoping that carries us. But I don't know. I have a weird feeling about this game. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Georgia's been so sporadic this year. One week they look like a world beater. One week they look terrible. And hopefully we get a bad version of them on Saturday.
I don't think we will though, because they're so used to playing in this SEC championship game. Like I just looked it up because I was curious how frequently they've been in the game. They've been in every SEC championship game outside of one since 2017. That's like that's like
Yeah.
OU's reign of dominance when Lincoln Riley and Stoops were in the Big 12, where they were just playing in the championship every year. Granted, they've only, out of the past one, two, three, four, five, 6 times that they've been in the SEC championship game, they've only won two of those. So, and most of them were losses to Alabama, of course. But you know that not only are they used to being here, but it's in Atlanta, so there's a bit of an advantage there, which weirdly enough, I think ties to an advantage to Texas because we love playing on the road. Um, we even opted to wear the all white, icy white uniforms, even though we're technically the home team for this matchup, uh, which is funny. I don't quite understand that. I guess it has to do with SEC record. I don't know how that was determined because we lost a head-to-head to Georgia, but I guess we have a better record overall. Is that it? Probably. Anyway, so I think we're gonna get a motivated Georgia team. But I don't know, at the same time, maybe not. It's a new era. Playoff is more important, so they say. And I don't know. I know for us, we care a lot about winning the SEC championship. That's been like something we've talked about all season and before that. That would just be a major accomplishment and really kind of a feather in the cap of Sark and his team and kind of a bragging right for Texas fans to be able to say first year in the SEC they won the whole thing. SEC wise. But I don't know. It's all a lot of unknowns. It's all over the place. Madrid, do you have
Yeah.
any? Or go ahead, Myers.
No, pass it to Madrid. I'm ready for predictions, honestly. I agree. Like winning the
Yeah,
We don't know anything.
I am at a loss right now.
Yeah.
yeah. Now, I will say though, we won the Big 12 our last year, and then dating back to the 90s or whatever, we won that Southwestern Conference our last year. Then the first year we won the Big 12. So history hopefully will repeat
Right.
itself. And that's just like the ultimate bragging right. You go to the SEC, you run through that schedule, you win the SEC in year one, like specifically towards Aggies who have never been made to the SEC championship. And they're the ones that have been harping on the SEC all these years. That's just a hilarious, just big old FU. This is Texas runs this now, which we do. It's looking like so. Yeah, I want it really bad, and yeah, I said before the season, I as much as a natty almost, I won the SEC championship in year one.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Let's do predictions. Madrid, we're gonna start with you.
Okay. Two ways I see this game going. If it's the field position thing again, we're losing by 10. It's gonna be like 27-17. It's gonna be the same game if that happens.
Why
If
would
we
it be
don't
a
have that,
what would cause that, you think? More turnovers, like basically a repeat of
I
last
just
game, or what? What would cause that, you
basically
think?
yeah, no, exactly. Same thing. We're just inept at moving the ball. We're getting or like we're inept at moving the ball outside of like say we get pinned, your classic in within the 10-yard line, and
Yeah.
we just can't get out of there.
And
We're
our
just
punter
stuck there.
is horrible.
And yeah, and then our punter's not helping us out. Something and Georgia just seems like a team that is just so ready to pounce on something like that. So I really do think that's one of the possibilities. If not, I do think it'd be a relatively close and low scoring game. More like a 21-17, 2017 type of game.
Well,
And I think that's what I'm leaning towards. Um, I don't think we'll see. I don't think you'll see us go sideline to sideline anymore. I think we know what we have with Wisner. I think we know what we have with our O line now. We can go toe to toe with them because of that. So give me the Horns 21-17.
all right. Myers, you or me?
I'll go first. I feel like 24 points wins you this game. I feel like if you can generate 24 points and play some sound defense, which we should, that should get us out of here with the win. So I think we're peaking at the right time. Georgia looked very shaky the last time I saw them, although I do expect a way better version of Georgia this Saturday. They'll be way more buttoned up. But I do love that we found our identity the last couple of weeks, and I think Texas just kind of values this game more than Georgia does as a program, at least right now. Because we both know in the back of our minds that no matter what happens, we're in the playoff, both teams. But
Yeah.
Georgia's won SEC championships before. They played this game so many times. Texas has never been to an SEC championship, of course, and I think it means so much to Sark and this team and this program is like to win this SEC championship in year one. So I think that'll be driving factor. I think Quinn, hopefully his ankle is a little bit more healed this weekend. But I think we get to Carson back. I think our defense shows up again, and I think our offense does enough where we're able to sustain drives and get a lead and kind of sit on it. And it'll probably be ugly and sloppy in the second half, like we always tend to do, shoot ourselves in the foot down the stretch, make it harder than it has to be offensively. But I got Texas winning 28-20. So I think Texas covers and wins by a touchdown. So uh, we'll see.
I like it. We have similar scores. I agree. Uh, I think ultimately one thing I didn't touch on is just kind of hearing the reports um, that this game does mean a lot to the Texas players and staff. Um, I heard that even before the A&M game, this team was looking ahead to this possibility of having a rematch with Georgia and to avenge that lone loss. It seems that like the fans, the players and staff feel like that was just a very poor showing of their team and not what they are, and they want to avenge that. And I know that every team says that, anytime they lose, they're like, "Oh, if we played them again, we're gonna win." But this doesn't feel like just a cliche. It feels like it's a legitimate thing that they're really going to be working hard towards. Um, and like I said earlier, just, beating a good team like Texas twice in a season or really within 2 months, that's very difficult to do. Um, I feel like we're pretty healthy right now. I mean, knock on wood, uh, Banks is back. But even not, I think that our offensive line is looking the best that it's been and is really kind of taking steps forward. So I feel like that unit's going to be great. Defense, of course, is going to do the defensive things. And even though Quinn had, a rough second half against A&M, his first half looked the best that he's looked in a long time, bum angle and all. So I don't know. I'm liking the way that our team is progressing right now. I mean, we're kind of up and down like Georgia, like any team in college football at this point. No one's really been consistently dominant um, for the most part. So yeah, I like Texas in this matchup. Um, I like the road mentality of Texas, not losing on the road in the past few years. And I know it's a mutual site, so it's not quite road, but it's going to feel a bit like a road atmosphere, especially in Atlanta. Um, so business trip, tight whites, all that good stuff. I like Texas 28-24. We're able to put up 4 touchdowns. Georgia makes it close, uh, but Texas ultimately covers and wins the ball game, and we'll see what happens from there in terms of rankings and such. Um, and it's kind of, I mean, all these conference championships are ultimately what's going to determine the bracket for the playoff. Um, so you would think that, Texas would be too, but for by some stretch that Oregon finds a way to lose to Penn State, which I don't see, but I don't know, maybe. Then there's the possibility of Texas having number one. I'm not sure. Um, there's going to be it's going to be a very tumultuous weekend, I think, with the championship games and uh, box
For sure.
office. Much watch for college football fans, I think.
Agreed. It's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
I think we're all a little nervous. I feel a little
Yeah, I don't
nervous,
know how
but
I
at the
feel
same
about this.
time, I don't know. I mean, like you said, Myers, like maybe whoever loses this game is the real winner here. But I don't like that
Yeah,
mentality. That's such a loser mentality to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's about the playoff. But I don't know. We're all kind of guinea pigs this year, and I'm not sure how this playoff bracket thing's going to go down and what's going to be like once the games get going. It's all a lot of unknowns.
for sure.
All right, y'all. Any final thoughts?
Oh
Give
man,
the people
we
what they
nailed it.
want.
All good.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all the above. Horns up, as always. Let's hope for a Texas victory as they head into the SEC championship game. This is a big deal. Year one, haven't seen this yet. Shot at back-to-back conference championships. Matt couldn't even do that. Uh, has it been since Darrell Royal? Maybe Akers? Since Texas has really no, sorry. The 90s. But it's been a while since Texas has won back-to-back conference championships or even been to conference championships back-to-back. So this is a big deal. So let's celebrate. Let's enjoy this weekend and horns up. We'll see y'all in the next video and hopefully after Georgia Texas victory. Almost slipped there.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome.